and understand that, it's we the people. And that's the only way things are going to change. And I also have to say morals count. And values change, but morals don't. And everyone has to ask themselves, are they living by the golden rule? And I make it very clear that for us to succeed, we have to be in shape physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And there's that old Buddhist saying, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. The students have to get ready. To answer your question, if my name was Muammar Gaddafi, and they just killed my kid and keep bombing my country, you'd think I'd want to get even? And in these days, in one of my books, by the way, Trends 2000, came out in the mid-'90s, I wrote about all of the breakup of the Soviet Union and all of the nuclear weaponry and suitcase-sized nukes that were available were on the black market. Yeah, boom goes London, boom Paris. How about a dirty bomb here? How about some biological warfare there? Or a suitcase-sized nuke here? Of course, they're taking us to war. It's not going to be like World War II. You heard the lines before. The generals are always fighting the last war. And by the way, when you look at the generals, look at the picture of that phony setup of the White House, ostensibly another lie that was retracted about them watching the mission take place. And look at that general on his computer. This guy couldn't lead me across the street. I bet he can't run around the block. So these are the kind of people that are leading us and making decisions. Nothing is going to stop it from happening. Look at the immigrants pouring over the border. You think they're going to stop some new millennium terrorists from seeping over our borders? So we're saying it's going to happen, whether false flag or not.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point. In some senses, they don't even need to conduct false flag. When you kill people's children, you drone attack Pakistan and Yemen and kill people at a wedding or at a restaurant, they're going to rile enough, they're going to rile up enough people for them to take their own revenge. And then, of course, they've always got the false flag in the back pocket. George in Indiana, you're on the air with Gerald Celente. Yeah, go ahead, Gerald.
Before we go ahead, I want to just comment on what you said. And what they do when the United States kills somebody that kills Americans, they call it justice. So maybe that the people that got killed want to extract some justice.
Well, precisely. I mean, 1 million dead Iraqis, that's not an act of terror. But, planting a dud bomb in New York with this facade guy completely handled by the patsy Al-Awlaki who's visiting the Pentagon 3 weeks after 9/11. That's the biggest threat that we face when we've got this US military-industrial complex literally strafing half the globe. I mean, it's amazing. George in Indiana, you're on the air with Gerald Celente. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Gerald, I'm in central Indiana, and I'd like to know what kind of advice you would give somebody that had mature timber here in Indiana. What would be your advice?
Mature timber, huh?
But mature, wood.
Yeah,
wood.
yeah, I know. I'm trying to think, and I see, the economy declining, and I just don't see growth happening. I would say that is it of a very high quality?
We're one of the few states that has hardwoods, good hardwoods, and I was just wondering if the dollar does completely collapse, is the timber going to be worth anything, or is it going to collapse along with the dollar and the growth and everything?
Well, you're in the business. How have timber prices done since the real estate bubble burst?
Oh, it's not good at all. But if this is a trend, if this is showing what's going to happen, I mean, in the 80s, it was a wonderful, you could harvest your timber and make a whole lot of money. But there's still money out there to be made. But I'm just wondering, is it better to hold on to the timber and wait through all of this trouble, or should you get your money now and put it into something that is tangible?
Well, I'm not allowed to give it financial advice, but sitting, and I don't know a lot, I have to think about this more, but right off the top of my head, I would say get rid of some of it.
Okay.
That would be,
And
if it was me.
Gerald,
Yeah,
isn't it the case that these kind of things can be used in a barter system that would inevitably ensue if the dollar collapsed?
Yeah, it's too tough, you know. These things don't go that smoothly. And of course, the other opportunity is, depending on the grade and the quality, is export. If that's the real opportunity, because this is who the cheap dollar is really helping. It's helping exporters. So if you could export this stuff, I would say that would be the best opportunity for me.
Okay, thanks for the call, George. Raphael in Virginia, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Shalom. Hi. Thank you for receiving my call. First-time caller. Something you had mentioned earlier that kind of has me questioning. You mentioned the United States as a financial superpower. Is it not the case that the United States is more of a clearinghouse post-Second World War because the other countries were trying to rebuild their infrastructure, and also the United States had a jump on that based on the infrastructure, the post-Depression infrastructure build-up for the war?
Oh, absolutely. You're 100% right. But the United States was also in a position to keep that going. But we squandered our future. And when I wrote my book, Trend Tracking, in 1988, from that point on, the United States had squandered over $13 trillion in unnecessary defense fighting the Cold War. So, yeah, we're not the economic superpower. I don't believe I've ever said that. But we did have the opportunity to become that, to maintain that, for the very reasons that you said. Europe and Japan were rebuilding. But, again, we squandered our future.
That in mind also, with the United States selling itself after 1935 to the Federal Reserve, in essence, living off their IOUs, could they actually build without the consent of the debtor?
Stay there, Gerald. We're hitting a break now, but we'll get your answer on the other side on the Alex Jones Show Live. Alex coming up, Steve Watson, Aaron Dyke, Steve Pachenik. Don't go away. Stay tuned at prisonplanet.tv. And we're talking to Gerald Celente, trendsresearch.com. Gerald, the first great war of the 21st century. Final comments on that and how it will manifest itself as we go forward.
You're going to start seeing more governments being overthrown, riots in the streets. They're not going to be able to stop it, particularly in Europe. As you pointed out, what's going on in Greece now. You know what they call austerity measures? Here's an austerity measure for you. You know, we're going to lower the minimum wage. We're going to really rack the people down at the bottom. We're going to cut services, and anything you get, Paul, we're going to charge you more for. Oh, and those pensions and benefits, we're going to cut those too. That university degree you have, it's worthless, but if you want one, it's going to cost you even more. Oh, and another thing, we're going to keep raising your taxes because the white shoe boys don't want to take a haircut. That's the language they use. They don't want to lose any money, so you have to pay for their losses. Oh, and one more thing. We're going to raise the retirement age till after you die. So the people are angry. You've heard me say it before. When people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. And people are starting to lose it. So you're going to start seeing governments topple, more fascism. Fascism has already come to America. I love it. They're worried about Al-Qaeda hitting the trains. What trains? The wagon trains? Anybody been on Amtrak lately? You know, welcome to the 1800s. You know, so this is what they're going to do. More fear.
More fear, and they said they were going to target trains that go over 500 miles an hour in the United States, which don't exist, as you just said. Gerald Celente, really appreciate your time today. Hope to talk to you again soon. Website is trendsresearch.com. Thanks a lot, Gerald.
Hey, thank you.
There goes Gerald Celente. Coming up in the next segment, Steve Watson, and then, of course, Aaron Dykes. Alex Jones will be calling in again from the road. One final point I wanted to hit on. We had the debates yesterday in South Carolina with the presumptive Republican candidates. 6 months ago, in November 2010, I wrote an article saying that only Ron Paul can beat Barack Obama. And now this has been proven by a new CNN poll released, which was conducted over the weekend. Quote, who does best against Obama? Paul, the congressman from Texas who also ran as a libertarian in 1988 and who is well liked by many in the Tea Party movement, trails the president by only 7 points in a hypothetical general election showdown. Huckabee trails by 8 points, with Romney down 11 points to Obama. So, I mean, Paul is the Republicans' best chance of beating Obama, but instead the media, after the debates last night, lavishes all this praise on these wolves in sheep's clothing, these people who mimic Ron Paul's populist talking points, but then try to pose as tough guys by, you know, advocating torture and war. I mean, let's have a test of faith. You know, let's ask people like Paul Celente and this Fed insider that Fox News was in a worship fest with, Herman Cain. Let's ask them if they're prepared to be waterboarded to, you know, see if it's torture or not. Everyone who's agreed to do that has come out of it and said that it's torture and it's wrong. And so they're trying to push these rhino candidates, these people that advocate torture, these people that advocate Obama's disastrous cap and tax policy. They're trying to push him in order to sideline Ron Paul by making out that torture is now the American way, and only by, you know, advocating torture can you be a tough war leader in these difficult years. So they're basically trying to tie the debates that occurred last night to this bin Laden fable. And they're also doing it by making out that Obama is soft on torture. You know, none of the Bush administration people who directed the torture, committed war crimes, were prosecuted by Obama. A few of the underlings were, which is why you had this phony confrontation yesterday at Ground Zero with the wife of the 9/11 pilot, where she basically chastised Obama, you know, for not stopping Holder from prosecuting these few underlings for torture. So basically they're trying to push a GOP neocon who's going to be able to defeat Ron Paul, with the media giving him all this bluster about how he's a tough war leader. And then they're going to try and use that neocon to defeat Obama. But as I documented in the article I wrote 6 months ago, all these people, Gingrich, Romney, Palin, Paul Celente, the lot of them, are universally abhorred by the American people. They've been losing their approval ratings at the same pace as Obama himself. And as this new poll proves, only Ron Paul can beat President Barack Obama, and that's why the Ron Paul revolution is going to move forward at great momentum in the coming months. We'll be back with Steve Watson, Aaron Dykes, and Alex Jones. It's the Alex Jones Show live at prisonplanet.tv. Stay tuned.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.